So I go through these periods where I'm having just tons of OBEs, and they're happening so rapidly, that I hardly have a chance to just to keep up with everything in my mind. There's just so much. And in times like this, so much new data and information is coming in that it can grow to be overwhelming. But more often, it's just more and more fun. This past month, especially in these past 10, 14 days, I'm just OBEing like mad. A new piece of information has come through that is showing me in my experiences, or letting me know that in my experiences I'm applying a filter, a visual filter, to see things in the way that my conscious human mind can handle. It makes me curious to know how much of what I've experienced, and even just how much of what I'm experiencing in any given event, is actual, and how much of it is my conscious human mind applying a filter. Again, that just lets me handle the situation. The reason I'm bringing this up is because in one of my last out of bodies, this was an AT contact experience. And the being that I was with in this particular event was encouraging me to let go of the filter. I had no idea in the experience that I was even applying a filter, but the mere suggestion that this one made to me, well, it was subconsciously received by me in a way that did take the filter away. So it starts out, I'm coming into full consciousness in the etheric version of my room here. Just laying on my practice space. And I'm just slowly realizing where I am and what's happening in the space. And the first thing I see is that there's someone here with me. And the person, and I say person because he looks like a person at first, here with me is a young man, basically the same colorings as myself. Light skin, sandy colored hair, medium colored eyes. And the interesting thing at first is he's got a hold of my legs, and my legs are from the hip bent up at a 90-degree angle, so that in my horizontal position, my legs are straight up. And he's standing real close to me, like his body is right up on my legs, and his face is just inches from my feet. And I'm aware that he's in communication with another or others about my toenails, about a recent pedicure that I had, manicure and pedicure, but he's just looking at the toenails at the pedicure, and he's relaying to these others that this is new, that this is something that's been added in the last week. And there's a lot of energetic shifts and change of position here in the sleep space area that just gradually bring me into more and more awareness, more and more alertness, more and more lucidity, and into a very close proximity with him and his energy field. And as I come fuller into his energy field, this is what's creating the lucidity in me. And I'm aware of this, or slowly begin to become aware of this, as the experience continues. From my room, we shift into an outside place at night. We're outside on a sidewalk. We shift from here into a room, and I'm in here with him for a very long time. I was right here in my room with him for, in physical time, the whole experience probably took about a half hour or so. In non-physical perceived time, I was in there for, what I experienced is like half a day. So a lot. And I kept realizing through the whole thing, God, I've been in here for so long. And I was just so amazed that the experience was so stable, and I was so clear in there for so long that I began to suspect. I looked at him and said, this must have something to do with you. I wasn't quite getting the whole thing. I was picking up in the experience. I was picking up on the fact that something wasn't quite as it seemed, but I didn't know what. I was picking up on that enough to keep asking him questions, but that's just about it until the very end when I got when I got the surprise of my life. So I asked him his name. He said his name was Sabatonite, which turns out to be quite symbolic. Sabata is a Spanish word meaning barley. Barley, in one way of understanding, signifies the good of the exterior natural, which seems rather key because when I first come alert to Seb, he's investigating my legs and the very unnatural thing I recently had done to my toenails. So I was sort of just gleaning that he in particular was an energy that had to do somehow something with the exterior of the body, some sort of healing energy that had to do with the exterior of the body. Or that was his job or something like that. I don't know which one. But I was asking him, if he was from my reality system or another. I do not remember his reply to me on this one particular question, but I do know that there was a reply. I assume that at that point, the filter was coming off as well, and I couldn't handle what I saw as he was letting me know if he was from my reality system. I was asking him how old he was. He looked awfully young and how long he had been getting out of body. He starts relaying to me a lifetime from way, way long ago, thousands of years ago, which was pretty fun. But just before the experience started to get fuzzy, just before I shifted from the experience back here into my room, he was encouraging me to let go of the filter. He really didn't word it that way. What he was saying had more to do with being in a free state, unencumbered. And he was really putting through this energy. He wasn't just saying the words. It was an energy that was radiating out into and through me. And I'm sure this is what, loosened the overlay I was applying on top of everything, to see things in a way that was more comforting to me. But just before I shifted back, the filter came off. And I'm seeing Seb walk up toward me over my bent, bare legs, knees actually, because I'm laying horizontally on a metal table, and my knees are bent with my feet flat to the table. And so I just sort of see him walk up from behind here as he's walking by, and that first moment of fright, because there was that first moment of fright when I saw him, because I was realizing so much all at once. I was realizing I had been applying this filter, number one. Number two, I realized he wasn't the human male I thought that he was. Number three, I realized we were never out on the sidewalk and never in that room, that we were here, and what could have been perceived of as a craft, I did perceive of it as a craft. The whole time since leaving my room here. And it was just so much all at once. But he was humanoid. He was humanoid, but as white as paper. I don't really know anything else. Did you guys just see the orb fly up over here? I did. I didn't get to look at too much of him, because all I saw over my bent knees there was, from about here on up. I saw him for just a moment, like just an instant before that fright reflex. And he was just white. But the fright reflex was putting other things into my visual field as well. And for a moment, I started seeing a more fearful, frightful image of him. White, just like he was, but with this large circle of black around his mouth, like what a clown might wear around the mouth. I do quickly realize that this is a fear-created image that has inserted in there because of my momentary panic. But, I calm a little bit and am able, just prior to shifting out, just for a moment, see him again, more as he is. After that event, actually before that event, I didn't go into that in this video. This is actually the second time I'm doing the video, because the other one came out funky with the audio didn't match the video, so I'm trying to do this again. But the communication from Seb, I refer to him as a he or a single person, but he says they or we. So evidently his energy is just part of a larger collective energy. They began coming in days prior to this experience where, I was just, for the last week or so, just some odd things happened. I just out of the blue got this sweet tooth, and, I've never had a sweet tooth. Carbohydrate tooth, yeah. Sweet tooth, no. Just this really fun feeling to drink coffee, started happening, and I've been drinking coffee almost daily for a week now, and it's having the reverse effect on me physically than it normally would. It's not keeping me up, it's making me want to sleep, it's pulling me in, and once I do lay down and go in there, it's sort of having the effect of keying me into the energy of being alert and lucid in there. So that's sort of interesting. I don't know how much longer that will continue. For the last few years, I haven't eaten meat. I don't think there's anything wrong with eating meat. It was just a few years ago. I, knew that it was, an appropriate time for me to stop. At that time, not that that was going to continue, but it did continue for years. And like 2 weeks ago, I just started feeling like eating meat. And so like just all of these really weird things were happening. I was having all these conscious recalls from things from the past, like for more than a decade leading into my first OBE. I had a daily recurring dream, and this recurring dream was coming to the front of my awareness, and these memories from back when I was a kid, how I used to get into bed at night. Which was always sort of an ordeal, because for some reason I was afraid to turn the light switch off, and in the dark just walk the few steps from the light switch to my bed. So what I would do is I would stand out in the hallway just outside my room, reach in and turn the light off, and the light would be on in the hallway, and I would just go down the hallway and run super fast down the hallway and literally jump from the door of my room across the room into my bed. I have no idea why I used to get into bed this way. A little bit of an idea, but not much. And that, I could only sleep by pulling the blankets up over my head and creating this sort of secondary environment, inside under the blankets for myself. Barbara Lamb kept coming to my mind. I don't know if you guys know who she is, but she works with a lot of the ET experiencers, and she does regressions and progressions, and she started popping up in my awareness, and I'm thinking, maybe I should go see her. And then just one night, a couple nights before this ET experience happened, I'm laying down to go to bed, and as many of you know, the energy starts coming through, and it started coming through in a way, in the way that typically makes my legs shake. This had been happening for, a week because we were leading into the full moon, and something about the full moon, does affect the way I experience the energy. And anyway, that night I just had enough. I'm like, good Lord, can we be done with this already? Because for years, I've been going through this. And although it used to be, on a scale of 1 to 10 or 12, and, now it's like a 1, 2, 3, it's still there. And I just know, something in me knows that, when the last bit of this block is gone, and the block is being held in the large muscle groups in my thighs, I will be able to use the energy as it comes through to just sink in and shift at will. So I know this, and I want to, be there, now. I'm so tired of the block, and what I have to go through to get the energy through to the point where I can actually sink in and either go to sleep or shift OBE. I just had enough. I'd had enough. I literally yelled out into the space. You have to help me see what this is. You have to help me see what this is. What the last bit of this block is, what it represents, what we need to do to get through it, And the next morning after I did this, all of this stuff is just coming into the front of my awareness, and I hear clear as the day in my mind, we want you to remember. We want you to remember. And just casual as a day, I say, who is we? I don't hear an immediate response to that, but I hear my response. I think I do want to remember. And that's when I had this experience. That's when the data came through that I had been applying filters. And for a moment, one of my filters came off. And when it did, I discovered I was with an off-worlder. So all of this clearly is significant to me at this time. I think I will go see Barbara Lamb if she's still seeing people. She lives nearby. She lives about 45 minutes from me. And maybe she can help me see more. Maybe she can help me go deeper until I'm able to have more experiences with Seb and others without applying the filters. If I do, I will definitely record the sessions and share them with you. Okay. Oh, it's 11/11/11 today, so for all of you observing the energy of this day, I join you.